What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Today I have a special one for you. It's going to be a 4-hour winter bass fishing challenge. Now the goal today is to catch 5 fish altogether, but my goal for you all is to give you guys some tips and tricks to help you guys catch those finicky winter bass. Stay tuned and let's see what we can do. All right, man, it's beautiful out here. So I'm actually going to start off with this dark sleeper. Now I've never actually caught a fish on this, but the idea behind this for me is I want kind of a power fishing / jig presentation. So I want something I can fish a little bit faster or I can slow down. I'm going to be fishing it mostly like a jig, but I'm going to start off with this for the first little bit. I'm going to break this day into 2-hour increments. So right now it is 11:37. So at 1:37, I'm going to give you guys a midday update. We're going to start power fishing for most of the day. And then as it warms up, as the water warms up, I'm going to start flipping a little bit into some of this wood. Now I have this dark sleeper on, it's a medium spinning rod, medium fast action, 8-pound braid to an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. In terms of where I want my drag at, obviously we have 8-pound tests, so we don't want anything crazy, but I want to have a little bit of pushback if I catch a big fish. I want to be able to loosen the drag myself if I need to. So, all right, see what we can do. And again, I'm just gonna be dragging this like a jig. There's some rocks here and they kind of go lead into a drop off. So I'm gonna fish this first. My theory with that is with the sun and it being warmer, I think the fish are gonna pull up on this flat and feed, as opposed to being more in the channel. Pulling it over some rocks, which is good. Good thing about the spinning rod, is you can really bomb it out there. Nice long cast. Drag it back nice and slow, just like working a jig. I really like this dark sleeper a lot because you can really feel the bottom, but it's so weedless that it doesn't get hung up. I told myself today for at least the first 30 minutes I was going to come out and toss this around a little bit. I just love the color of it, the contrast with the water. Really have a good feeling we're going to catch one on this today, to be honest with you. Now right now I'm sitting on the flat, casting into the channel and bringing it back over. Probably should have started out the other way. So I should have started off pulling it off the flat. Sometimes dragging uphill, sometimes dragging downhill. You really just need to figure out what the fish want that day. Seriously? Well, I've already blown up like 3 spots in the first 10 minutes, so that's not a good thing. But I guess we can only go up from here. I'm gonna try flipping this around, kind of like you would a jig, honestly. See if we can't get any takers on that. And I think, honestly, it's got a pretty flat stomach, so it should skip fairly well. Oh crap, that is pretty nice right there, guys. Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to be something I'm going to be fishing a lot more. This dark sleeper is just, seems like it can be a pretty universal lure. This thing is just extremely weedless, guys. I can feel it coming through all those branches. Bumping every branch. I mean, just terrific for flipping. I just never would have thought to use this as a flipping lure, honestly. Pitching, I should say, but never would have thought to use it as that, and it is really good. Oh, thought that was a fish. Nope, just some branches, but man, it is coming through those branches is very clean. I mean, extremely clean. And then I'm giving it about a 5-second pause in between moving it. Oh man. That might have just been a branch, guys. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself. Pretty sure it was a branch because there wasn't really any head shakes or anything like that. So tighten up that drag a little bit. But like I was saying, I'm leaving the slack line on the water, so semi-slack line. I want to be able to see that jump if there's a bite. And then every 5 seconds, I'm just moving it probably about 5 inches or so. Not a long distance. Obviously, the water is extremely cold, so these fish don't want to go too far to chase down their bait. And they don't want it moving too fast, typically. Oh, gosh. My skills are not there right now. Just being able to flip a little swim bait around like this, you know, it's not something they're going to see very often. A lot of times during the winter or when it's colder, I prefer not to skip it, but really the only way for me to get back there where I need to get back is to skip it. So skipping is a really good technique, especially, you know, springtime when it starts to warm up, or summer, or skipping really tends to be a good thing. I prefer not to skip it as much when the water's cold, but sometimes in order to get back where you need it to be, you're just going to have to skip it back there. I find when the water's a little cooler, it tends to spook the fish a little bit more. Yep. Oh, bro. I have the worst hookup ratio on this freaking lure. That's 2 potential bites I've missed already, guys. And that one didn't feel great, but it didn't feel bad either. Man. It's one thing about that covered hook, you know, it's very, very weedless. I mean, I'm coming through trees like it's nothing. Probably easier than a normal jig. But I think that's the second bite I've gotten that I haven't been able to land. So tighten my drag down just a hair. Again, I don't want it too tight, but tighten it down just a little bit. And again, that fish didn't feel like it was crazy big, but it did feel nice. All right, start flipping the jig around a little bit. Sun's getting a little higher. Not a lot of wind on the water. So our power fishing bite. Still gonna try it a little bit throughout the day, but I just don't trust it right now. We already got bit flipping that dark sleeper around. So thinking the jig should get a couple bites. Should get a couple. Really, I just want to land a couple here in the first couple hours, and then we can go from there. But I want to get a little confidence. Just 1 or 2 fish landed would be great for that. And then the jig, I'm throwing that on a 7.2 medium heavy rod. It's got a little bit more bend in it. It's kind of in between a medium and medium heavy in my opinion. But I have that on 30-pound braid tied to 17-pound fluoro. And that's with a blood knot. Casting is just off right now, guys. And tell my wife I need more practice fishing, huh? Good one. Good one, guys. Good one. Oh, we freaking slipped the net. Oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh, guys. He literally slipped the net 2 or 3 times. Nice. Nothing crazy. Probably a 3 3/4, 4-pounder. Look at that. Look at that thick boy. Man, he is not long, but he is built right. Crushed the jig. Sweet. Finally got one on the board on the old jig. Even though I did not do a very good job of landing him, that's for sure. Oh, just barely skin hooked. Popped right out of there. Just pink lips. Been feeding on the bottom. My guess is 3.5. Again, he's really built well, but not much going on for length there. It's probably only 18.5 inches, if that. 3.85. Let's just see what we got for a length, and we'll let her go. 18 3/4. Man, just built right though. All right. Beautiful, healthy winter bass. See you later. All right, good start, guys. Pushing 4 pounds. Man, we just need to get one 22 inches built like that. Might be looking at a 7-8 pounder on our hands. What I'm throwing is I'm just throwing this little 3/8 ounce ball head jig. It's a finesse jig. And then I just have a little Yamamoto. Don't remember exactly what this is called. Kind of like a double tail grub, basically. So that's what we got. I kind of thought the jig bite would be on today, just because, again, abnormally warm. Right now we have no wind on the water. We have sun out, so that's going to push them kind of on the bank. So I had a feeling that the jig might get it done. So let's keep this in our hands for a little while. Let's hit some more spots and let's see if we can pull out some more. We got 1 of 5 so far, so. And the thing about winter fishing, you all have to come out during these abnormally warm days. When you get these abnormally warm days, you know, I'll go on Fish Brain and there's really not much going on during the winter. You get these warm days, you'll see people catching 5, 6, 7 pounds, breaking their PBs left and right. These abnormally warm days, you gotta get on the water. Doesn't mean every day that's warm during the winter is gonna be productive, but it's just something about these days during winter, you know, gives them the energy. The fish get up shallow, they start eating a lot more. I highly, highly, highly recommend, when you have a warm snap in the weather, try to get out fishing if you possibly can. And then how I'm working the jig, guys, was the exact same as the dark sleeper. So I'm casting it out there. I'm letting it fall to bottom on semi-slack line. And every 3 to 5 seconds, I'm just moving it a little bit towards me. Maybe 6 inches towards me. Same thing. I'm not letting it get too far out from the bank because I'm targeting fish in the shade and in this brush. So there's really no point for me to drag it 10 feet off the bank. Man, that bite gives me a lot of confidence today, guys. What time do we got? We have 12:37, so it took me about an hour to get that fish. See if we can put a few more in the boat in the next hour. I'm actually a little bit too close to the bank right now, guys, and it should be further off so I can cast to the bank. But right now it's a little bit too close. And the thing I tend to do as well is I need to slow down, because when I get a bite, I tend to get excited, the adrenaline starts flowing, and that's when I tend to speed up. But in the winter, you just really got to slow down. Even on these warm days, you really got to make sure you soak that bait where they're at. And that fish, just thinking about where he was on the point, and he wasn't very deep. He was pretty close to the bank, but he was on a point, so probably just up there to feed. But you want to pay attention to where you catch your fish. That way you can kind of replicate that pattern. There's not a whole lot of points that are like that on this lake that I can think of. But, you know, like there's a point coming up right here. So we just caught the last one on the point. So it'd be a good idea just to soak my bait a little bit longer over there, knowing that I've already caught one off something similar. It's just flat calm out here right now, which is perfect for flipping. Thought we were gonna come out here and throw moving baits a little bit more, but don't go by what the weather says. Go by what the conditions are where you're fishing. All right, guys, so we're about halfway through the challenge right now. We have 2 fish on the board. We have that almost 4-pounder, and we have that little dink. We did miss one on the dark sleeper, possibly 2, but I'm just gonna say 1. So we've had 3 bites so far. We've caught 2. Obviously, we wanna be 3 for 3 at this point, but we're not. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna change it up just a little bit. Probably gonna switch over to the underspin. Probably gonna start throwing a little bit more of a jerk bait. I am gonna still flip on the way back, but right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna head back. We're gonna try a little bit more in the middle. Haven't gotten a bite probably in the last hour, but we're gonna keep grinding, and got 2 more hours to go for 3 fish. So let's see if we can do it. Not a keeper, but we got number 3, guys. We got him. Number 3 on the board. 2 more to go. Whenever you catch one from a spot, you immediately want to cast right back in that exact same spot. A lot of times they'll pick it up and they'll run, and when they're running, they're actually taking it away from other bass. So I always try to slow down as soon as I catch a bass, because probably some more in this area somewhere. All right, so all 3 so far on the jig. So that tells me, you know, keep this in my hands probably most of the rest of the day. I am going to try and throw around the chatterbait and the jerkbait a little bit more, maybe a crankbait, but you know, most of the day is going to be spent revisiting the areas we've already been in, throwing the jig in those areas again, because a lot of times those areas that I was fishing were areas that fish will replenish throughout the day. So fish pull up to feed, they go back, other fish pull up. So going to revisit those areas with a jig, be a little bit more thorough where we caught the other ones, and see if we can't eke out 2 more at this point. All right, in the last ditch effort to try to put 2 more fish in the boat. Gonna toss this drop shot around a little bit. It's coming down to about the last 30 minutes. In the drop shot, I'm using a Berkeley Maxent flatworm. I have a size 2 Gamakatsu drop shot hook. And then I have, I believe, a 3/16 cylinder weight. Leader length is about 10 inches, I would say. We're fishing rock, we're not fishing grass, so it doesn't need to be very long. Again, right now I'm just trying to pull out 2 more fish at this point. So drop shot in the jig for the remainder of the 30 minutes. And hopefully we can catch 2 more. And I have this drop shot on a 7-foot Shimano X-Pride medium. I love the X-Pride rod series. Casting, spinning, extremely durable, extremely sensitive. Not too expensive. Whenever you guys are buying rods, what I recommend is I recommend saving up to the end of the year and waiting for a tackle warehouse sale. So for myself personally, I like to buy about 2 rods a year from Tackle Warehouse when they're on sale. They get that 20% off sale at the end of the year. I think that's the best bang for your buck. I also try to do the same thing with tackle. So my recommendation would be keep a list throughout the year of all the tackle you want and need. And then when that sale comes along, try to buy it all at one time for that sale. Because it doesn't seem like saving 20% is that good, but when you save 20% off your entire tackle for the entire year, the savings just add up. So last year I bought about $800 worth of tackle and I bought 2 rods. But to be 100% honest with you, that $800 worth of tackle is probably going to last me 2 to 3 years. If I hadn't purchased it like that, I probably would have spent a lot more throughout the next 2 or 3 years. But now I have basically everything that I think I can need. Of course, there might be like a new hot lure that comes out, but honestly, if you have the basics, you probably won't need that new hot lure anyway. So if you do want it, you can always go buy it. It's definitely not the best technique to be using in this area, but at this point I just want a bite. I really don't care if it's a bluegill, crappie, bass. I'm really not too concerned with what's biting. I just need 2 bites. Do, 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 do. There we go. There we go. Not a bad one. Not a bad one, guys. Not a bad one. Toss around the drop shot. All right, it's coming down to the wire, but you know what? Got a pretty little decent one there. That's the thing I like about these hooks, guys. Once that little hook gets in them, your drag set right, that thing is not coming out of there. Look at that. Little chunkarooski. Definitely over 2. I guess we should just get a weight on him real quick just to see. Let's say he's like 2.1. 185, not quite 2. Nice guy. All right. One more and we completed the challenge. A lot of people like to use like a 1/0 or a 2/0 size hook for drop shots at wacky rigs. I really prefer that small size too. I've just had so many times where it's just stuck them and has not let them go. I've caught, I think, 3 7-pounders on that same hook. Not the exact same hook, but you know, that hook in particular. And I've lost 1 7-pounder on that same setup. So, you know, in terms of landing them, I've landed a bunch of big fish on that hook. I've caught forest 5s, no problems. I've only really ever lost 1 good sized fish, and that was fighting him in 2 feet of water. So he had the advantage of kind of dragging the ground, but that is my preference, guys, is that small size 2 drop shot hook. And all we need is 1 more. All we need is 1 more. Whenever you need a bite in the wintertime, drop shot or Ned rig, I really prefer the drop shot, but you know, the Ned rig is also a very, very, very good option. I think what I need to do is back off this bank a little bit, because if I remember correctly, he wasn't like right up on the bank. He was a little bit off of it. Plus, I really would prefer not to cast in these trees. Can we eke out that 5th fish? That is the question. Can we eke out that 5th fish? I think we can do it, honestly. We'll just go back where we threw the jig in and toss the drop shot around instead, and I think that would be pretty effective. Believe it or not, guys, the drop shot is really effective around wood branches like that. If you cast it too far, you're going to hate yourself and you're going to hate your life. But, you know, if you can get it right on the edge of that wood, that's a really good spot for a drop shot, to be honest with you. All right, we're coming down to about the last 15 minutes here, so I'm going to finish up this stretch of bank with the drop shot. If we don't get one by then, calling it a day. These are those drop shot hooks I was telling you guys about. So split shot, drop shot, size 2. Highly, highly, highly recommend those. Again, I've caught multiple 7-pounders on these. They're incredible hooks, they really are. All right, down to the buzzer. And the key is going to be not throwing it in a tree. I think that's going to be our key to our success here. Uh-oh, let's go. Let's freaking go. Let's go. I've never been so happy to see a scupper. I've never been so happy to see a scupper. Oh no, scupper failed. Little scupper. Let's go, baby. Oh man. Drop shot at the buzzer gets it done. I'll take it. I will take it. Let's go, guys. All right, gonna book it back to the ramp and I'll see you all there. All righty, guys. So 5 fish in 4 hours, challenge complete. How do we do it? So my thoughts today were sunny skies, not a lot of wind. I was thinking the flipping bite was gonna be on. Warmer temperatures kind of tend to push those fish up a little bit more shallow. So that was my thoughts from the beginning. And that ended up being correct. I did experiment around a little bit with a jerkbait, and I did experiment around a little bit with a chatterbait, but when I realized I wasn't getting bit on those, I went back to what was making me successful. So what went right and what went wrong today? Obviously what went right was I stuck with what was successful. You know, I experimented around. Fishing is a game of micro experiments, so you have to experiment around. You want to make sure that you're testing all the waters, because I might get 2 bites on a jig, I might get 5 bites on a jerkbait. So you always have to constantly switch. Something I like to do is I like to keep something in my hands for about 30, 45 minutes. If I'm not getting bit on it, I tend to move on from there. So what went well was I think I did really well in managing what lures I was using. I did experiment around, but when I realized that the flipping bite was gonna be the bite for the day, I ended up sticking with the flipping bite and maximizing on that. If I had to pick something I could have improved on, It's really hard to say. You know, I did forget part of my fish finder to attach it to my kayak, so that was one thing I really wish I would have had. I also forgot my A-rig, and that was another bait that I was really looking forward to throwing today. There's a lot of shad in this lake, so I think that would have worked out really well. But in terms of on the water, what didn't go well, the only thing I can think of is I could have thrown the flipping bait a little bit more. I'm not too mad at that because I did want to experiment around, and you really do never know. So ultimately, at the end of the day, it was a great day. We caught that almost 4-pounder. That was a really good fish, and we got to be out in nature and enjoy ourselves. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please subscribe for much more. I really appreciate you guys watching, especially to the end of the video. If you found these tips helpful, please share them with someone that you think would benefit from them. Guys, get out, enjoy the great outdoors, and I will see you guys next time.